I got to get something off my chest here, man. I'm a little aggravated. I'm going to be talking directly to people that I don't care anymore. I think we're allowed to just do this now because all the truth is out there, but for some reason, a lot of people are still listening to bullshit, and their programming is still in them. So they are continuing to say dumb things and put it out there on social media. And it's a bummer when you know these people. Social media, not the media in general, and unfortunately the Democrats, right, have been putting out so much bullshit. Go with the COVID stuff, go with what's happening now with the deportations and everything else, that they are destroying relationships. They're destroying family relationships. They're destroying childhood friendships because some people are dumb enough to believe them. And it's a real problem. And there's this woman I know, and I like her. I went to high school with her, and I'm not trying to pick on her. She did give me a concussion once, so we all know who we're talking about. But she posted something today where she was equating the rounding up of known criminals and deporting them to what the Nazis did to the Jews during World War II. It's fucking stupid, and it's aggravating. It's aggravating. So I corrected her. Then she tried to rebut me because then she wanted to talk about World War II and get into the minutiae of that, which is now, okay, wait a sec. Now you're taking the focus away from the moronic post that you made. No. Let's get back to that. And then some other idiot that I know from high school started chiming in and started talking about the white man is responsible for all this stuff. And then I also posted something yesterday where a guy, it's like spotted in California, this guy overpass with a bunch of American flags. He's saying, fuck your country's flag, with the American flags waving there. And this woman I don't really know, Disco Trash is her page, and I like what she does. She's really cool, actually, and except for her belief system, but she sells cool stuff that she finds. And I bought a few things from her. So my thinking on that is like, okay, unfriend me. I don't really care. But it's you. What are you saying? So I'm going to get into all this right now. My name's Mike, if you don't know already. You've been here a while, you know. I'm not talking to my normal subscribers that are here for me to entertain you. This is, again, directed to you imbeciles that keep hanging on to your programming. It's time. Now is the time to pull your head out of your fucking ass and start thinking for yourself. Let's get to the original post there. And the difference between the Jews and illegal aliens in this country. And by the way, real quick, I got to bring this up. I bring this up all the time, but just so you know, I'm sensitive to people who come here from other places. You know why? Because my father came here from another country. When my father came here, he didn't speak any English. Nothing, man. You know what he did? He learned. And he took shitty jobs, and he washed dishes, and worked in a hat shop, and did all these things, and he wanted to be a baker, and he had to learn that. And he was treated like shit by older guys, man, like bakers. He'd go into these places, and they would knock the weights off the scale so he couldn't learn the mixes, because they didn't want the competition from a young foreign guy that could outwork them, right? But he paid his dues, just like every other group of people that comes to this country has to do. And then eventually, you're assimilated and everybody accepts you. That's how it is, as long as you become American. Teddy Roosevelt said this in a great speech, and I've posted it before. Maybe I'll find it and put it in here in the description again for you. But the basic thing is we want you to come here. You should come here legally, and you should assimilate. You should take on the belief systems and the pride and everything else that it is to be an American and the history of it and all this other stuff. And you should have allegiance to only one country, America, and you should have should speak English. All these things that you're supposed to do when you come here, which was something that was part of the indoctrination system when we were bringing people in legally, and we still do, by the way. Which, remember now, everybody that just ran across the fucking border, filled out some paperwork, are not legal. They're already illegal. They're already now. I don't support going after those people necessarily and rounding them up and throwing them away or back to their countries, but that's not what's happening. What's happening right now is, and again, Let's go back to World War II really quick. I'm jumping all over the place here because I'm aggravated. But the Jews were in these countries already. They were working members of society. They were teachers, philosophers, actors, free thinking people. And they were rounded up because of the fact just that they were Jewish. And they were put in trains and taken to concentration camps where they were worked to death and or gassed to death and killed and burned up. And so to compare what's happening right now to what happened in World War II makes you a fucking imbecile. You're an imbecile. You are a moron. Every time you do that, you sound like a moron. You're a moron. Now that I got that off my chest, the people that are being rounded up right now are people that already have criminal records, beyond the fact that they came in illegally. They already have a criminal record. They're already a rapist or a child molester or some other kind of criminal, drug pusher, whatever it is. They were arrested, and then let go back into society to kill people. The Lincoln Riley person, I think that's her name. They passed this thing lately. That guy was arrested. They let him out. He murdered her. How do you people answer to the parents and the friends and the other family members of people who have died at the hands of people who've come into the country illegally? What do you say to that? You're an asshole if you keep supporting this nonsense. It's I want to just knock some sense into you, man. Pull your head out of your ass. Nobody is saying that every single person here illegally is a criminal, right? That's what the media does. They spin the words. That's what you hear in your brain. And then you start repeating it. And what are you when you do that? You're a fucking moron. Stop being a moron. Pull your head out of your ass. It's so crazy. And here's the beauty of it. ICE knows who these people are. They know their names. They know everything. They got their fingerprints. They got everything. They probably got their DNA. So they know where they are. They know who's harboring them. And if they go to the house and it turns out that they're with people who aren't necessarily, they're all criminals if they came here illegally. Again, that's just the way it is. Excuse me. So if they're with people who didn't necessarily do any other crime other than come in the country illegally, well, too bad. You're out now too. You know why? Because you're harboring a criminal, which is a criminal act. Very simple. There's a lot of stuff flying through my brain right now. I hope I can remember everything I want to say here, because it's just, when I get agitated, man, it's crazy to me. So, and the other thing is they're making it sound like we're just going after brown people. If you are from another country and you have a criminal record here and you have been arrested and then released back into the masses, into society, you're part of the ICE thing. They're finding those people too. The media isn't showing that to you right now, because right now the media only cares about brown people and women and children because they want to make it look bad. And speaking of that, something like 300,000 children have come into this country and they don't know where they are. What happened to them? What about all the sex trafficking and everything else that's going on? And look, man, what's going on with this U.S. aid thing that they found out about with the NGOs and everything else, where your tax dollars were going to these countries and bringing these people here to get them into the country under false pretenses and a bunch of bullshit just to flood. This goes back to the Cloward-Piven strategy and Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. I recommend you look that stuff up and read up on it so you understand what's really going on here, which is now over. They're ending that. This is all stopping now. So a lot of you are going to be butthurt. A lot of you morons are going to be butthurt for a while. But eventually, the truth will seep into your brain. And if it doesn't, I don't care. You want to live your life, believe in a bunch of nonsense and being angry? Fine. Do it, because you're going to be dead soon anyhow. And nobody gives a shit. All right? Fucking die already. You're pissing me off, man. And you're not just pissing me off. You're pissing everybody off. And here's another thing. It's fine to have pride in where you come from, right? We had Greek flags in the house. My dad was very proud to be Greek. A lot of funny stuff growing up with that. But the thing is if you're going to, and you're allowed to protest. I don't care if you protest in this country. It's part of our fucking Constitution, Bill of Rights, everything, freedom of speech, redressing your, grievances and going after the government, all that stuff. But if you're not a legal citizen, fuck you. So if you're going to go out there waving the flags of another country, right? Okay, fine. It's fine. As long as you're off to the side and you're doing your thing, you're making all your noise over there. Once you impede my ability to do my daily business, you're going to block the road, block the highway. People die when that happens, right? Emergency vehicles can't get through. There's all kinds of other things going on. What do you got to take a shit? What if I'm sitting in my van? I'm telling you right now, I'm afraid to drive around LA and go to certain areas because if that pops off, that might be my last day on the planet because I don't think I'm going to react very well to that. Right? If I'm sitting there blocked and I'm sitting there for more than 15 minutes when I should just be home by then already, and you're marching past me, waving some other country's flag, and you're screaming in my face because I appear just to be a white person to you, that is not going to end well for you. And in the end, it won't end well for me because I'm outnumbered, but I don't give a shit. All right? This stuff has to stop. It has to stop. It's insane. Be prideful of where you come from. Fine. But it's like, the crazy thing to me is like, and then because they get into the whole history of the southwestern U.S. That was all Mexico. Well, there's maps that say that, that's for sure. But if you start looking at the history of that and look at how many Mexicans, because they weren't, were actually here, and the whole history of Mexico, man, because you had the Aztecs and then they left or died off or whatever, and what was left were, whatever. But you had the Spanish come in and conquer them, mix the blood and everything. That's what created what we know as modern day Mexicans. And it was Spain. It was the Spanish government that was moving up into the northern parts of, America today and putting missions up. But if you were to look at the populations in those areas, it was minuscule. It was hardly anything. And there were wars that happened, okay? And so, Whitey came along and, we had a war. Texas, remember the Alamo, all that stuff. Then there was purchases and everything else, and that's how it happened. And that's how things have always happened. How far back do you want to go in history all over the world? And the other thing, the people that are here that are creating these crimes were literally released from prisons from Venezuela, Colombia, a lot of other countries, all right? And they're so bad they didn't want to take them back in their own countries. But Trump worked the deal. Now they have to take them back. The really bad ones now, he realizes it doesn't make sense to try to send them back because they're just going to release them again. They're going to end up back here anyhow. So now, boom, Gitmo, reopened. Fucking A, man. We should have an island someplace where that's where we put people. Not only that, this is just my opinion, we should look at our entire prison system and everybody in our prison system who's really dangerous. I mean, like murderers, just scumbags, rapists, pedophiles, just real scumbags. Those people, put them on that same island with all the people that came here illegally, that came out of prisons in the first place. Let them have their own little island someplace where they can just be like, it'd be a gladiatorial system or something for them, and let them live and kill each other and do all the things that they want to do. Let them have it. Let's just have a place like that on the planet. We could just pick a place. I mean, that is how Australia was founded. It's been done before. This is not a new idea here, okay? French Guiana, Papillon, I mean, this is the penal colonies. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Because if that exists, it's going to make some of those people not want to engage in that behavior because they'll get caught. And by the way, a lot of the people end up going there pretty soon to be some of our politicians. So, because this thing that's been going on with the money laundering, which I've discussed here before, all the money going to the Ukraine, we knew that was going in the pockets of Democrats, and some Republicans too, I'm sure. Real freaking problem with that. And the other thing is, as far as the race issue goes, here's the thing. Like I said a moment ago, these other countries, they just so happen to be Central and South American countries that were releasing prisoners and crazy people and everything else and letting them come here. I'm just not aware of Denmark doing that, or Norway, or Poland, or Italy, or England, or even Russia. I'm not aware of those countries where it's predominantly white folk releasing prisoners and allowing them to come into this country. So think about that one. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So let's just stop pretending, wake up, pull your fucking head out of your ass, and realize what I'm saying here. And even if you want to get into the slavery thing, some of you morons actually think white people invented slavery. Slavery's always existed with every race, and it always starts with people enslaving their own kind. Always, right? The friggin' native peoples here, the Indians that were here originally, were doing that with themselves before whiteys showed up, man. And the slave trade from West Africa to the Middle East existed for over 1,000 years before America, the New World, was even discovered. Muslims were capturing the Irish and Norwegian, all kinds of people, and bringing them back down to Northern Africa. This all happened. And it wasn't white people going into Africa in the jungle and throwing nets on black people either. It was African tribes that were slave tribes that would go in and capture people, other black people, and then selling them to people. That's how that was working. If you don't know that, look it up so you don't sound like a freaking idiot. Because some of you people just sound like morons, and I'm just disgusted by it. And I feel like, what the hell, man? I mean, I know you. I don't want to know you. That's how you make me feel like I don't want to know you when you say just consistently dumb things. And there's going to be people who are going to pick what I'm saying here apart. You're going to think I'm dumb. You don't want to know me, and that's fine. It's okay. It's not I don't care about this as a I can't think of the term right now. It's not I don't care what anybody thinks of me. That's why I can say these things. I'm free. Stop. Again, just to summarize this in a real quick, small thing here, condense it for you. If you've got a problem with ICE identifying, going after people who are actual criminals, who have already been arrested, then you're an idiot. Because that's what you want. You can't run a country any other way. And they're not targeting them. If you've been conditioned to believe, you morons, you've been conditioned to believe that they're only going after them because of the color of their skin. You're an idiot if that's what you think. You're a fucking moron. Pull your head out of your ass. Pull your head out of your ass. Pull your head out of your ass. So I'm just tired of it, man. And let me tell you something else. I work with these people. I'm on job sites, man, or I'm at somebody's house and there's somebody there. Or a maid, or a gardener. And I talk to them about this shit, man. When I was a kid, my dad used to, even before I wasn't even done playing with a toy, he'd ask me if I still wanted it. And it took me a while to understand what was going on, but he was taking my toys that he thought I was growing out of and bringing them to work to give to the guys who were washing the dishes for their kids. And those people were not legal because he felt for them, because he was one of them at one time. And he'd take me to work with them, and he always treated them with respect. And that's what I do. And I engaged with these people in conversation. I got a client I had for 2.5 years down the road here, and actually 7 years. But there was a break, and we're in a break right now. But she's got a maid. I love this lady. Her English is for shit. She's such a sweetheart. I only speak to her in English. The woman, my client, only speaks to her in Spanish. And we had a couple arguments about it. And I said, how are you helping her? That's only helping you with your Spanish. It's more important for her to get better at English. So knock it off. And a woman has a kid here who goes to school who's girls speaking English. And she tells me that her son gives her grief for not working on her English. You see what I'm saying? And when I'm working with dudes, like, they're doing masonry work, stucco work like I recently did, or they're painters, drywall guys, whatever the fuck they're doing, I engage with them. Because usually I catch them doing something they shouldn't be doing. I'm like, hey man, if you do this first, and I treat them with respect, I talk to them, and then they respect me. I had that one issue I had that one time, I'll tell the story again real quick. I was working on a multi-million-dollar home. I forgot to look at the watch, and we want to keep this one short. But I was working on $1 million home over in Silver Lake, and white guy owned it. He was from New Jersey, and he hired a contractor who's also from New Jersey, who normally works on multi-million-dollar mansions, like in Malibu and places like that. This was 20 years ago. And they hired me to do 3 different projects in the house, but they kept me there for like 8 months. paying my day rate, which was pretty good at the time. I mean, for what it was. And there was a lot of Hispanic guys. So the lead guy or the foreman on the job was a Mexican guy. All his guys were Mexican guys, maybe Guatemalans or whatever. And there was this painter there. And all day, every day, he just kept saying, "You're the best carpenter I've ever seen. That's amazing. You're the best carpenter I've ever seen." Well, that was getting under the skin of the foreman, who's been working with this guy. His name was Phil Freeze. Phil might not even be around anymore, but Phil is a big-time contractor. So you can look him up. Big-time contractor here in LA for a long time. And one day, first thing in the morning, out of the blue, this guy walks up to me, this Mexican dude, who's got a brand new truck. He owns his own house. His kids are going to school. Whether he's legal or not, I have no idea. How much money he makes, I have no idea. He's doing pretty good though. And he says, which I don't know where he got this information. He just made an assumption. But he says to me, he says, the only reason you get paid more than us is because you're white. And I looked around and I said, no, asshole. If I'm making more money than you, it's because I'm better at this than you are. Why'd they bring me in? Why aren't you doing what I'm doing? Because you can't do it. And I watched you all week make mistakes in this bathroom trying to cut some molding, screwing it up every single day, wasting material, wasting time. You think the homeowner appreciates that? Lighting money on fire? You think that your boss is happy that you're wasting material and wasting time? How many mistakes have you seen me make? He bowed his head and he walked away because he knew I was right. Because he was talking out of his ass like a fucking moron because he believed all the bullshit that people are pumping into his brain when it comes to race because he's brown. No, get fucking better at it, man. Get better at it. And hey, while you're at it, work on your English. So when I'm on these jobs, that's what I say to these people. I'm cool with them, really cool with them. And I make them laugh and I ingratiate myself to them. I tell them my story about my dad. They get it. And I always tell them the same thing. Look, be early. Be the last to leave. Clean up before you leave. Leave it cleaner than you found it every single day. Work on your English. Work on your English, right? When you do something, always put 100% into it. Do the best job that you can and think outside the box. Like think of better ways to do things. Think about how it's going to look, you're going to make it stronger. And one day you could be just like me. You could be the guy they call up like a hitman to come in and knock shit out. Boom, 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 right? And you could be putting your own number on things. You could be just like me. And they respect that. And they like you. Everything's cool. I'm working this blue collar stuff, man on man stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Talking about it straight out. No bullshit, man. So it's this bullshit race nonsense that these idiots believe. Morons, you're a moron. Is nonsense. And I'll tell you another thing. Last year I was in El Salvador. Very safe, but there's military everywhere. Guys with M16s walking around, groups of 6 or more guys. And what the president did down there was he got his military together and they cracked down on crime. There's no more crime. They put them all in these giant prisons down there, and they're not nice prisons like we have here. And look up the pictures of El Salvadorian prisons. It's crazy. By the way, the Chinese were down there while I was there too, and they've bought up all these properties and all this Chinese language billboards up. They're letting you know how great they are, and they're making the country better, and they are. I mean, we should be down there. What's interesting, 110 electrical current and U.S. currency. It's like being in America in El Salvador, and they got great surfing there. And on the plane ride home, I sat next to a guy. I think his name might have been Ruben, but I sat next to this guy. No. It's a alcohol. Maybe it'll come to me. Remy. I think his name was Remy. Like Remy Martin. What a big, giant El Salvadorian guy. Kind of reddish, curly hair, if I recall correctly. Real gregarious, nice guy. Just big dude sitting right next to him. We started talking about all this. And his family owned a farm up in the mountains there. And many years ago, they had to leave because the gangs came along and they started demanding money every month. And they didn't have the money. They were just farmers. So they had to abandon their property and their farms that they had in their families for generations because the crime was so bad. But now because of the new president, and they stopped crime, and they've arrested all these gang members and all these criminals, and they just put them in these prisons. Now it's safe to move back. He's still nervous about it. He thinks he wants to have like a military platoon or something come with him to check the property and everything, and really make sure they're not coming. He's still kind of scared about it. Funny thing, about a week after I got back from that trip, Remy was right here around the corner. He's an exterminator, which I don't think he even told me, but I saw him. I was like, holy shit. I pulled over with the van. We hugged each other, had a great conversation. What a great guy. So, yeah. And look, I've said this before. I said this in a video the other day. Like, I've dated every woman there is, man. Like, from every freaking country, every color of skin, you name it. Even lesbians. Even they say they're lesbians, but who can blame them? So I'm just saying, I get along with everybody. I like everybody. I don't care what you look like. Right? It's like Martin Luther King spoke about. It's the content of your character, not the color of your skin. Somehow, people have forgotten about that. Wake up, pull your head out of your ass. Stop being a moron. It's a choice. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice. You are choosing to be ignorant. You ever watch that dude, Rachel Maddow, on MSNBC, program your mind with a bunch of nonsense? Well, then I have no respect for you. And I don't care. I don't care how I sound to you. I don't care if I'm pissing you off. I don't care if I'm upsetting you. Pull your head out of your ass. Have a nice day. Remember to be nice to one another.